let's take a really great example. Burlap and mason jars, baby. Bring me back to 2010. That was a trend that came out of left field and took us all by storm for literal years. Actual years of my life were dedicated to wrapping mason jars in things covered in hot glue. And then the evolution started to change, right? And we started getting more frequent access to new information. And then we've hit, it's like we're on this, whatever kind of graph they call it, where it goes up really steep all of a sudden. And that's the pivot point where we are right now, where things are driven by social media. And so the access is instantaneous. And there was this overlapping period where the magazine world still existed in the digital space. And so Martha, RIP, went all digital, and brides started to go all digital. They all started to become more of a website, a blog, a daily posting outlet. And you were still held to the expectation that you had to wait. You couldn't release that image, you couldn't show that wedding until the publication who had agreed to feature it and said, we are now saying it is time for this to become a trend. And that lag time gave people the opportunity to get good at it. And that then created a monster of its own making, where the thing that happened next was we got so fast at sharing the trends, we lost that buffer zone of needing to wait for exclusivity, and now we see 24-hour live streams of weddings, we see on-site content creation as a legitimate vendor category. The speed at which is so much that we can't get good at it, and so what we see are flash-in-the-pan trends that come and go, aren't executed as well as they should be because we haven't had time to try. We haven't had time to refine and to practice. Trends are of the masses, right? That's what makes them trendy, is many people agree this is a cool, fun thing that we're excited about. And the part of the wedding that I'm the most excited about is the part that is so deeply niche to that specific person and their specific love story that none of the guests are even gonna get the joke. Like, it's that hidden Easter egg level meaning, which is the actual antithesis of mass consumption, mass popularity. Most of my best work is not popular.
I mean, for me, I do see a lot of people come with me with their Pinterest, their TikTok videos, everything that they see online, with that first as opposed to what's important to them. And they show me a video and I'm like, great, I can do that. It's gonna cost X. They do bring us these photos and want the exact execution of that. And I always say I can do it. Like, we can put a table over the pool, but it comes with a cost. So is that the piece that's important to you, or do you want to spend that somewhere else?
To Carrie's point, that's why trends are so dangerous, is it's losing the value of what is unique to you and your story and your partner. And I actually make them go through every single photo or every single video and tell me what about it do they like and where do they feel like it fits in the overall vision that we've already created. And if we haven't created the vision, I still make them tell me what about it that they like. And sometimes it puts it back on the client of like, oh, actually I only like that because I saw so-and-so do it. Okay, well that was so-and-so's wedding. Let's figure out what works for you.
My fear is that the digital creation becomes a tool for us, the creatives, to show what we are capable of. And so we start saying, hey, listen, I might not have a client for this invite concept, but I'm gonna mock it up and I'm gonna show the digital mock-up. And it becomes a tool for us to express our creativity, but then I fear that the use of that tool to express ideas and products that do not actually exist in the real world is that we lose the value of when they do exist in the real world. And so my concern, and the reason that so far I'm still the last old lady on the bench hanging on, refusing, not for much longer probably, is that I don't want the digital to replace the physical. And I have a genuine concern that 2 generations from now, weddings will exist on the internet solely. I have a genuine concern that 10 years from now, invitations will exist in digital format only. I think that we are witnessing the last physical handheld copies of invitations. Day of stationery, sure, whatever, that's fine. But I don't think that people will send physical mail in the future the way that they do right now, and that value system is leaving us. The creativity, however, is not. I think clients will still have an invitation suite designed for them, and it will be wildly creative, and it will be presented in the form of a digital mock-up of a tangible invitation suite that does not exist, that is emailed to their guests, and that keeps me up at night like a boogeyman.
I think some of it comes back to the trend of being authentic, that you want your wedding to feel authentic. Like, does the digital posting feel authentic to you because it's environmentally friendly or because it saves budget? You know, some of those tangible items feel authentic because you had your mom's invitation from when they got married. So like that piece is important to you. I don't know if that's a trend. Does that count? But I feel like hearing people say about it being authentic to them, I've heard more lately than I have in the past.
When people come to me, when they come to me, they know that they want to be different. Like that is what attracts them to me. So I don't have to change anything based on what's trending or what's not. I'm gonna always just show and make that client feel comfortable and confident that they can be themselves. And so they see that across the website and across everything else. My daughter, she told me, like, for my AMA brand, she said, "Mom, you need to be on TikTok." And I'm like, no, I'm not dancing, I'm not doing any of that. But she said, "Mom, you have to realize that there are a group of people who are sharing information, and you're very knowledgeable, and you need to share what you know because that's where they are." Like knowing where your clients are or where they could potentially live. And then maybe like 2 weeks later, Sarah posted something. I don't know where she is. She is a genius. Y'all need to listen to her. But Sarah posted something about being on TikTok. And I told my daughter, I was like, "Okay, Chloe, here's the AMA login. Have at it." And she has grown our TikTok on AMA so much. And we even booked, like, we had 2 inquiries coming from it. And she is like, y'all have to be on TikTok. Share your knowledge. There are so many people who just need the basics. But yeah, show up on TikTok.
When it comes to social media and couples and brides and people throwing parties, they're using social media much more than a website, much more than email. When you all checked in, you got text messages because nobody reads emails anymore. So we've evolved into that, but what our focus will be, and you're gonna see it with other brands across the board and where you can control it, is you can feed AI what you want it to show. But that is directly related to what's on your website. And that is a specialist and it's a different language. And this is the last few weeks we've just been talking about it. So you'll start to notice over the next year or two, all these websites that you used to know it as one way might look over wordy and so much information. It's like, you've never seen so much information. And where one thing used to be a paragraph, it's like 10 paragraphs. There is a reason. It's how they're training AI. So you do have an element of control over what you're doing if you start now. I mean, I can Google some of our new hotels or go into AI, sorry, not Google, AI, and sometimes there's nothing. But that's because we're working on the website. So I think at the beginning, at least, before it's inundated with everything, if you're setting up your websites with a professional who really knows AI's language, you can control what you want them to see about your work, and also so the robots aren't. You have some control over the narrative. You know, it's going to be a little crazy, but I think there is some control if you do it now instead of waiting for it to happen. And even, I mean, I'm working for a semi-big company, and I know you're all entrepreneurs, but even we're learning. So it's everybody. I don't think anyone outside of a tech company really knows exactly, you know, you want to stay on brand, but also feed AI the right messaging. Because I can tell people are looking at social, but they're also, you know, I don't even think people realize when, I just said Google, that they're actually in AI. So I think there's a lot of that too, and it goes back to the AI imaging you were talking about. But yeah, I think the website's gonna change. You're gonna start to think hotels look crazy on the website.
It's just understanding or getting them to a place where they can be comfortable enough to explain how they want their guests to feel. And just, I asked them this question. I asked, like, okay, so after the wedding, when your guests are at the water cooler, what do you want them to say? Like, tell me every single thing. Tell me forward, what do you want them to say? And then I write all that down, and then as we're building everything out, as we're looking at the design, as we're building out the whole weekend, I go back to that, and I make sure that the words that they said appear in every single thing, the stationery, like all of it, the design, all of that, right? So just making sure that they're confident enough to communicate how they want that experience to go for their guests.
At the end of the day, two things are true. I own a business and I'm trying to buy my husband a boat. And also, I serve at the pleasure of the client. This is my 1 millionth wedding. This is their only wedding. And if I have done the due diligence of explaining to them, I wouldn't be serving you if I didn't tell you why I don't think this is in your best interest, and they still say, I want what I want, 100% it is my job and my honor and responsibility to give them what they want. Give the people what they want, even when it's ugly. I have more ugly work that makes happy clients than I have work that I think is beautiful and am willing to share with the world. I really genuinely believe that this is a service-based industry and that I am here to serve them in the beginning of their marriage.
Because I truly believe in don't do things that you don't love to do, because it'll show. It'll show it up in how you do it and how you communicate to that client. The meetings will be hard, all of these things. So taking that time when you first get to interview your client, interview them just like they're interviewing you, and just making sure that it's a good fit from the very beginning. My inspiration comes from listening to my clients, just asking them the question and just an open-ended question and being inspired by what they want to do.
The one thing I will say, no matter where you decide to show up, I think it needs to be authentic. So if education is not what's interesting to you, don't do that. And I'm telling myself the same thing. I can't dance on TikTok. I don't know, I'm not great at being silly and funny, like the TikToks I like to watch. That's that's not me. So I think I'm also figuring out what does that look like from a planner's perspective.